there are some interesting things that have been going on. There are some interesting things that have been kind of going around. A.J. Brown went out since Wednesday's show and essentially, like, I wouldn't say blasted. Like, he didn't blast anybody. But, like, you definitely get the feeling that A.J. Brown just wants the team to win. That's all he cares about. He wants the team to win. And he said, look, winning is really important. Like, I'm trying to find the exact quote that he said. Hey, I got it. So he talked about the root frustration on, it was on Wednesday. I want to get to the A.J. Brown of it all. And then a very interesting person who he's been compared to had some thoughts on him as well. And that's how we're actually going to end today's show. Well, let's go over to A.J. Brown first. Just talking about the frustration that he's had this season. Obviously, he got asked about the stream and about his comments on that stream. Let's go out to A.J. Brown for his thoughts ahead of the Lions.
Situation with the fact that he's so it's not just solely about my situation. I mean, guys, like, obviously I want to win too, you know. And I think if we're really focusing on winning and doing our job, like, we can't just keep slapping the Band-Aid over the defense doing their job and getting us out of trouble. At what point?
That's a really fair point, because to this point in the season, the Eagles defense has won them a lot of games. And a 10-7 game, I said this on Wednesday, there's no excuse for the Eagles only scoring 10 points. And I don't think it's a personnel issue. We'll continue.
We're going to pick up our slack as an offense that we're so great, you know, and that's what I'm getting at. It's not about we're not winning or I don't care about winning. All I care about is snap and step. No, it's been week after week sometimes we're not contributing. We're not doing our job on offense. So you can't just.
So he was very clear there. It's not this idea that he doesn't care about winning, because he does. And it's not about him caring about his stats, because it's not that either. It's that they, week in and week out, are not contributing in the way that he thinks they should be contributing to these wins. And there is nothing wrong with what he said so far. I'm going to get to the comments here in a second, but he has said nothing wrong yet.
Keep slapping a Band-Aid over that, man. You expect to win late in the year. You think he's going to go to it at the end of the year. It's not going to fucking happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to.
Yeah, look at him dropping a little profanity there too. Don't feel bad, AJ. Don't feel bad. I know there's a lady right there. He's a good dude. Doesn't want to curse in front of a lady. I get it. But there's nothing wrong with what he's saying. He keeps saying, you can't just slap a Band-Aid on it and expect later in the season that you're just going to be able to win, because what happens later in the season? You play in the playoffs. You're against the best teams, trying to bear down with a very clear eye on the Lombardi Trophy in the not-too-distant future. You can't have 10-7 performances week in and week out and just kind of hope the defense continues to make big plays. He is right.
You know, last year, what it was, thank you for the ring, but it's a new season.
That is a quote. I'm gonna run this part back again. Him talking about last year and the trophy and winning a Super Bowl, but it doesn't matter right now. Let's go back there again real quick.
Sure, what it was, thank you for the ring, but it's a new season.
Thank you for the ring, but it's a new season. He's right.
We have to adapt, and we have to continue to get better and try to find new ways. So that's where the frustration comes in, because it's not about winning, you guys. Like, I want to win, yes, and help contribute as well. Do our thing on offense as well. I think that's fair.
So there is not a single thing that he said there that's incorrect. And I will go back to that off-season post that he had on Instagram about that feeling of what it was supposed to be a champion, and that it didn't have the same kind of feeling he expected it to. And that ultimately what gets him going is that ability to break the spirit of the guy lining up across from him. He wants to feel like he is dominating his matchup, because he knows in his heart of hearts, him dominating that matchup leads to points. Those points help the team win. I don't think that this guy's a selfish player. I really don't. I think that his heart is in the right place. I think it's very, very clear. And I said this on Wednesday. There are a lot of offensive coordinators in this league that would die for the chance to have this offense, to have these weapons. Something is wrong. Something schematically is wrong. And it makes absolutely no sense. I saw a stat going around that A.J. Brown is averaging like 2.5. Was it 2.5 routes per game run, or 2.9 routes per game run over the middle? Like, doesn't A.J. Brown physically look like a guy who should be able to run across the middle and make a big catch for a first down? Like, isn't that the kind of thing that we used to expect of a guy like, I don't know, what was that guy's name? The best wide receiver that any of us had seen in recent times play for the Philadelphia Eagles. What was his name? I feel like there were two letters that we would chant. T-O. Oh, yeah, Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens went over on Fox 29. Terrell Owens has been I think, oddly enough, T.O. has been a very positive guy talking about the Eagles and his post-football life. But T.O.'s the guy that people have compared A.J. Brown to. Is this a selfish player? And I've said, until A.J. Brown is doing sit-ups in his driveway, I'm not worried. He's being very forthright with the media. But I want to go over to something that T.O. had to say over on Good Morning Philadelphia. This is Terrell Owens talking about A.J. Brown after the most recent comments. And this is probably where we're going to wrap up for the day. But I want you to hear what Terrell Owens had to say about the Eagles' number one wideout.
Compare AJ to you. Have you heard that?
Yes, and I don't think that's a fair comparison. I think when you look at AJ, I think he sets a high standard. The guy's, I don't know how much he's making, but like 30 million a year. If you look at statistically where he stands, if he was playing poorly and making that type of money, everybody would be trying to get rid of him. But the guy wants to win.
Yeah.
And as an
that's important
athlete, there's a way to win and a way sometimes how you lose, how you win and how you lose. And it's a rhythm thing. And if you're in an offense, especially with him being considered WR1, you want to be involved in the offense. I don't blame him. That's an offensive coordinator thing.
Now, this is where people might automatically tune T.O. out, because is this T.O. having sour grapes about some different OCs that he played under in his career? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that he's said so far that's unfair. And of course, if you're the number one wideout on the team, you want to feel like you're helping to contribute to the win. All right, we'll keep going.
And I think obviously in a lot of, I think Jalen has to shoulder some of that responsibility too, because he's the quarterback. He's an extension of the head coach and the offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. So how you play within the system and how productive you are as a number one receiver depends heavily on the offensive coordinator and how you're being used.
So there's a little bit, not shade at Jalen Hurts, and obviously like T.O. had his run-ins with quarterbacks in his career, so I don't think that anything he said there is really unfair either, but this really does feel like he's saying this kind of falls at the feet of the offensive coordinator. To some extent, it maybe falls on the quarterback a bit of not getting A.J. involved. We'll keep going.
It seems like the Super Bowl trophy is not enough because he wants to be a big part of the win.
And why is that a bad thing?
Correct.
It's not at all.
Everybody would be talking negatively about AJ. It was like, oh, he got a Super Bowl ring and he wasn't playing up to those standards, Philly standards, the Eagles standards. Then it wouldn't be the same. They'd be trying to get rid of the guy. Mm-hmm. But
I think he's right about that too. If this were a scenario where A.J. Brown weren't busting his ass, if we saw clip after clip after clip of him cutting his route short, of him sulking, of seeing him yelling at his quarterback or yelling at the coach, or in post-game scrums, he's out there complaining that like he's not getting enough targets, fans might run him out of town at that point. And I know that there's kind of like this undercurrent of sentiment that he's a malcontent. I really don't think that he is. I think that A.J. Brown has done this about as respectfully as he possibly can. We'll keep going.
I truly understand where he's coming from. Yep. You have to utilize the guy based on his skill set. And granted, Devontae Smith, he could easily be a WR1 on any team.
That's true.
I've said that a bunch of times this season. I think we all know it's true. As Saquon Barkley pointed out the other night, Devontae Smith won the Heisman. Oddly enough, people seem to forget that. You know how hard it is for a receiver to win the Heisman. He's an incredibly talented wideout.
Yeah. But again, you saw it the first 4 games of the season. When you go through a flow of the game and you training camp, you see how you want to win and you want to duplicate what you did last year. There's going to come a time late in the season where they're going to need A.J. Brown. And then there's going to be a time where everybody knows he's going to get the ball and they're going to double team, and it's like you're forcing the issue.
So I think, by the way, that is a very cogent point. But here's the big thing about what he said. You know that like late in the game, you're going to need A.J. Brown. And I want to kind of take you guys back, and I don't have each play and the down and distance and the time, committed to memory. There have been a few times this season where when the Eagles had the opportunity to ice a game, the guy that Jalen Hurts has thrown that ball to with the chance to get the first down, to pick it up, to run out the clock, is A.J. Brown. And if you go back to the game against the Packers, where they apparently ran a rogue play or whatever, despite the fact that people would make you think that Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown hate each other and it's a terrible relationship, who's the guy that Jalen Hurts locked in on immediately and threw the ball to with a chance to ice the game against the Packers at Lambeau? It was A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith had a great game. Devontae Smith has had a great season, has made huge plays. But the receiver that Jalen Hurts is going to late in a game with a game on the line or the opportunity to ice it is A.J. Brown, which to me says there is a hell of a lot of confidence by the quarterback in his number one wideout.
You were always outspoken, of course. Do you understand and agree with then how he's choosing to express himself and with the tweets and on streaming and all that, what he's been saying?
He's not doing anything wrong.
No.
The media is taking it and making it into a negative. He's using subliminal messages.
I know.
What is wrong with that? He's not berating the quarterback. He's not going to the head coach. He's not doing any of that. He's getting his point across.
And what he's saying is true.
Absolutely.
You know?
So now listen, would the Terrell Owens who played in Philadelphia and then went to the Cowboys, would that guy in that mindset of still being a player in his prime, would he have had those exact comments? Maybe not. But I want you to think about this. A guy who absolutely famously lambasted his quarterbacks and his head coaches and his offensive coordinators and took headlines and did sit-ups in the driveway. That guy, now in retirement, looks at what A.J. Brown is going through, looks at the way that A.J. Brown has approached the situation and says to himself, he's doing this the right way. There is nothing wrong with what he's doing. And then also says he's not blasting the quarterback or the head coach or he's not doing any of those things. And T.O. would know. Listen, if A.J. Brown were doing those things, I think that this mature retired Terrell Owens would say he should learn from my mistakes. But he's not even saying that because A.J. Brown's not making those mistakes. I get it. People want to get upset from a tweet, a subtweet, from an Instagram post. Oh, what does he mean by that? A.J. Brown the other day came out and told you exactly what you should have wanted to hear all along. Winning is important. He wants to feel like he is part of those wins, and he wants the offense to be a significant part of the wins the Eagles are racking up, because if they aren't, it's going to be significantly harder to win as the season dwindles down and as you start to ramp up to an attempt to win a second consecutive Lombardi Trophy.